Hi, and welcome to Literary Hype. I am Stephanie, your Literary Hype woman. I have a treat for you today, especially if you like vampires and vampire TV shows and vampire young adult books. I got the chance to be part of roundtables with Julie Plec while at New York Comic Con. She is the creator, showrunner, executive producer of shows like, The Vampire Diaries, the originals, Legacies, and now she is the boss on Vampire Academy. They're all adaptations of YA vampires, and that was the first thing I had to ask her about. So here is the roundtables with Julie Plec.
You're back with vampires. What is it about vampires and YA vampire books that you like so much?
I like writing. I like using genre as a way of disguising the fact that I'm really just trying to make a nice coming of age love story, or a nice, family drama, or a nice romance. I think that being able to work within what I'll call the monsterverse as a way of putting like a entertaining package on a very simple small story is a way to keep these shows alive and on the air and engage a fan community that's really vibrant, and so everybody gets what they want. Vampires specifically for me are really representative of this idea of like, if you're kind of destined slash cursed slash blessed, however you want to look at it, to wander the earth for all eternity, then at some point don't you want to do that not alone? And so that allows that idea of like, what is love to a vampire? What is a meaningful relationship? Who is a vampire squad going to be? And I explored all that in the Vampire Diaries trilogy, and that continues on with Vampire Academy, which just happened to be a book series that I loved way long ago that was predates even Vampire Diaries. So it's something I always wanted to do.
How did you select the cast for this? Like, you have a certain look that you haven't before.
We were able to audition people from all over the world because we were shooting out of the country. So you didn't have when you shoot in the States, you have like a 90-day window before you can't cast somebody that doesn't have a work visa because it takes too long to get the visa. Might be 30 days, but when I make broadcast pilots, when you're on such a tight schedule, if somebody doesn't already have a work visa, if they're from Australia or the UK, you can't hire them in time. And so it can really limit where you're doing your hiring from. And so we had all the freedom in the world and ended up with actors from Australia, from the UK, from Canada, from the States. But we did it all by Zoom. And nobody ever said that we had to put anybody famous in the show, which is always fun when you get to just audition people and decide if you like them or not. It doesn't matter who they are or what they've done. So we got to find a lot of new, fresh faces and give a lot of people chances that they hadn't had before.
And then you co-adapted Vampire Academy for screen with Marguerite McIntyre, who of course played Elizabeth Forbes. What was that process like, and how did you guys come into working together?
So we've been friends for a very long time. We actually met on another job when she was an actress back in 2005 called Kyle XY. And then because we were friends, I asked her to come be Sheriff Forbes on Vampire Diaries, which was supposed to be just like 2 episodes and turned into 7 seasons. And I just think she's a really beautiful writer. She wrote for me on originals and legacies and containment. She also, writes short stories and one-act plays, and she's just really magnificent and talented. So I asked her if she wanted to do this, if she wanted to be the showrunner of the show, and she said, I would, except would you consider letting me create it with you? And I thought, you know what, absolutely. This is the perfect project for us to be able to do this together, so that your voice is just as much in here from the beginning as mine. And then I just sat back and let her be brilliant.
You mentioned, I think, in a previous interview that you originally read the books in like 2006, and they've been living with you for so long. Can you talk a little bit about what it was like to sort of have this in your head and the evolution it took from I've finished reading the book to now I've made the series?
Yeah, well, in the beginning, it was deeply in my head. I think it was 2008. So much so that when Vampire Diaries started, and we were trying to come up with like, what do we call, when you when you can mind control somebody. I said, well, we should call it compulsion. And then I thought after the fact, after we'd shot it, I'm like, was that stealing? Did I just steal? I don't know. So trying to, knowing that this was a project I wanted to do at some point, trying not to cannibalize my ability to do it. So, but at a certain point, I thought, well, I'm at Warner Brothers forever, and this show's too expensive for the CW, and I'm doing Vampire Diaries, and so I'm never going to make this show. So then I did Legacies, which was sort of my substitute for a boarding school show. It was I didn't think I'd ever get to do Vampire Academy, so therefore I really wanted to do Legacies. Then I moved away from Warner Brothers and into Universal, and they always ask the question when you're new, what are the shows you've always wanted to make? And this was at the top of my list, and so they just got excited about it, and then it happened. So it had a really nice arc.
Do you find yourself a lot of the time like mixing up the vampire attributes since they're very different?
I don't ever mix up anything except that I have to take an extra beat every time I say Vampire Academy, because it's way too easy to say Vampire Diaries. And I think I have accidentally said Vampire Diaries so many times. So I have to really think about it every time I say it out loud. But other than that, I keep everything pretty straight.
Do you have a scene that was your favorite to film?
Sorry?
Do you have a scene that was your favorite to film?
Yes, it's in next week's episode that I directed, and it's a fight scene between Rose and Dimitri. That's a lot of fun. It was good stunts, good action, good emotion, all kinds of good, yummy vibes in it.
So I heard that you guys filmed in Rome and Spain and all over the world.
No, we filmed in Spain, in a town called Olite, which has a castle and a small royal court, which is exactly what we needed. And then up the street, an old abandoned monastery that was for rent. So we were able to build our entire St. Vladimir's province all in one place, which was really incredible. And then we were able to travel all through Spain. We went to Zaragoza, we went to San Sebastian, a couple other places that names are escaping me. We shot in Pamplona, and we got to really, really, really get the most out of the country and get all kinds of different incredible locations. It was amazing. and then where Pamplona is, if you want to fly out of France, it's only an hour and 15 minutes away. So I would drive up to Biarritz in France and then get on a plane that took me home through Paris. So I would take the overnight, like where you had to spend the night in Paris because that was the connection. And I would go into the city and have dinner in Paris on my way home from Spain. And I just felt so like blessed and fortunate and such an adventurer because I was able to do that just on my trip home.
The show deals a lot with this society and this world building, and it's very of the time, you could say. And I was wondering, thematically, what you hope people will take away from the story once it's all said and done.
Well, we're really trying to shape a story about the youth finally looking at the system that they have been raised in without choice and without agency, and taking a good hard look at it and taking the time to say this doesn't feel right anymore. Maybe it was never right, but it certainly doesn't feel right to us. And then starting to poke into the cracks of the society and speed along its crumbling so that they can create a new environment that is less oppressive and is less built on class status and all those things. So it really is it says in the very beginning of the first episode, but it is the first match of the revolution that these young women are sparking.
What's your favorite part of the process of adapting a YA book into TV, and what is the most painful thing that you've had to change from the book for the show?
I love adapting because I hate the blank page. I hate sitting and trying to figure out what my idea is. It makes me very neurotic. And so to start with something that I already see something in is a lot of fun for me, and why I generally prefer adapting a format or a book to coming up with an original idea. In this particular adaptation was a lot of fun because I liked the books so much, but because they're from 15 years ago, I felt there was still freedom to make changes because most people who loved them, not all, obviously, but most people who had loved them as a young adult and are now grown up. So that they wouldn't necessarily remember beat for beat how the story played out, and might be more willing to go along the ride of new take on some of the stories. But we were really careful to not just go buck wild and say, well, none of this book stuff matters. We're going to do our own thing. We really, really wanted to use all the big tentpoles of the books. So I think we were most scared about the way we moved the pieces around in hopes that the audience would enjoy it, even though it was very different than how it played out in the books. And I think we were most worried about getting Adrian wrong. Because Adrian's a fan favorite, and we wanted to make sure we got that right.
Do you have any plans for a second season yet?
I have plenty of plans for a second season. I'm just waiting on Peacock to agree with me.
Do you think you'll stay with that network, or you think you want to?
Yeah, well, so my deal is with Universal Television, and so I can make shows with them as my studio and any of the streamers and any of the networks. But Peacock is, of course, also owned by the same Comcast, NBC, and so we want to make a lot of shows together, and that's the goal. And we've got a couple other things that we're already in line to make with them, and so
So they'll allow you to do whatever.
yeah.
on network.
Yeah, I can go anywhere and do anything, but certainly we try to prioritize Peacock when we can.
Is there any advice you would give to aspiring filmmakers that are also trying to become showrunners?
Yeah, brace yourself. No, I think that what a lot of people don't understand when they haven't been inside the business is that when you come into the business, whether you're just fresh out of high school or college or grad school or business school, or you've worked as a lawyer or a doctor, the way into the business is really hard. It's really, it's a lot of working for people that you might not like, doing things that you might not like, fetching a lot of coffee that you might not like. And there's this sense of showing how good you are capable of being at doing the lame stuff, that gets people to pay attention to you, to then give you a shot at doing the cool stuff. There's no pathway into this business unless it's like winning the lottery, that you just get to step in and suddenly be an established filmmaker or writer or anything. So there's a lot of work that goes into it. But once you are in it, if you are good, you will work and work and work, and you will rise the ladder, and you will all your dreams will come true of being a storyteller. And it's specific to show running. Just get into TV by whatever means necessary. You don't have to start as a writer. You can, you start as a PA, you start as an assistant, you start as an intern in your summers. You do everything you can to just get your foot in the door, and then figure out what parts of the job it is that you like, and then lean into those things and try to get people to give you those opportunities. But mostly be really good at getting coffee, because if you can't even, get coffee with a smile on your face, and everyone's like, well, I don't want to sit with you in a writer's room for the next, 8 months of my life. And I'm joking a little bit, obviously, but people underestimate the power of being good at any job, and how much people want to lift you up and give you chances when they see that you're working hard and that you've got a great presence, a great attitude, and are willing to be in the trenches.
Are there any other books that you're looking to adapt in the future?
I just was able to get the rights to We Were Liars, which is one of my favorite books of the last 10 years, and I'm really excited about that one.
We Were Liars.
We Were Liars. It's a beautiful book. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. Emily's here? Yeah. You're kidding. I didn't know that. Oops. Oh, that's so funny. She's great. She's working with us on it. So we've got her blessing, and she's been very involved. So that's a lot. That's exciting.
As you heard Julie say during that conversation, you can check out Vampire Academy on Peacock, and that's also where Vampire Diaries is currently, and it kind of just pops right on over to them when you run out of episodes. So definitely check out those shows if you haven't already, and those books. Those links will be down in the description for you to check out those books if you haven't already. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. Keep hanging out with me. This is so much fun. At least I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun. But until next time, thank you for watching.